Hey everybody, Beth Helvey, Couture Real Estate. I hope you're doing well today. It is, Wednesday, June 9th today. So we're getting into June now. So I want to go over with you seller disclosure statements. Pretty much every state has them. They're all different and what you can and can't do with them. In the state of Florida, not a lot of documents are actually regulated by the Florida Real Estate Commission. Your contracts are, your listing agreements are, that sort of thing. But the seller disclosure statement is not. The seller disclosure statement is the seller telling the buyer, to the best of their knowledge, information about the house, good or bad, anything. And each brokerage has their own. Now, there is a sample one or a basic one in our MLS that we can use. A lot of brokerages take them and alter them or tweak them because of things that have happened. You know, they realize that a question was asked or something wasn't covered, or, you know, maybe they concentrate on a particular area and something about that area needs to be addressed, things like that. There's also a couple of brokerages in town that will do things like have another disclosure statement that the buyer must sign stating that they understand that their taxes will probably change, and some things like that. Basically, it's 3 to 5 pages. The seller fills it out with yes and no boxes. And then if there's a yes, they give an explanation. Makes a lot of sense. And it asks things like, how's the roof? Have you had any leaks? It'll ask about the pipes. It'll ask about the environment, the land, homeowners associations, condo associations, things like that. Pool, how deep is the pool? How old is the pool equipment? Because we have a lot of pools here. Things like that. The seller is supposed to answer to the best of their knowledge. And their realtor cannot help them. So I cannot sit with you and ask you a question about your pool and go, okay, you know your pool's 5 feet, right? And then put that down in there. I cannot do that for you. And your realtor should not be doing that. Your realtor can answer questions. If a question comes up and they're asking something like what are polybutylene pipes and you don't know what that is, you ask your realtor and your realtor will tell you what they are. But they are not to guide you or prompt you with those answers. And there's going to be some things in that form that a seller just can't answer. They plain don't know, like the polybutylene pipes. They may just not even know what that is or if they have them, and that's completely understandable. They may not really know how old the pool equipment is because they've only owned the house for a couple years, and they weren't told when they got it. So there's some things like that that will kind of carry over. When you get to you need to have every line filled out. That's the best way to handle it. And if you get to something that doesn't pertain to you, for example, if you live in a condo and you get to the section that asks about pools, you don't know. It's an association run, maintained pool. You have nothing to do with it except it comes out of your fees. You don't maintain it. So you just say NA or don't know or draw a line through it or something like that. But it is best if you answer every single question. There's a couple things. There's a non-occupant seller disclosure available that basically says that the person who is selling the property has never lived in it and knows nothing about the house. I've seen landlords use this, you know, kind of as a way to not give information. And personally, it's just my opinion. I don't think they should, because they obviously know when the roof was replaced, if the pipes, you know, had been leaking. They obviously know that stuff. But it really comes in handy if you are an heir. So if your mom, your dad, your aunt, your uncle, your brother, your sister, something like that, passed away or is incapacitated in some respect, and you need to sell the house for them, and you really just plain don't know, there is a form that is for a non-occupant owner that you can fill out, and it says that the person hasn't lived in the property, they know nothing about it. One of the things that buyers always ask me is, what if the seller is lying? The way the contract is written and the way the seller disclosure is put together, we are operating under the assumption that the seller is telling the truth. 99% of the time they do. There may be things they don't know. I find that a lot when it's a marriage and one spouse has passed away, and perhaps the spouse that passed handled certain things and the remaining spouse just doesn't know. I mean, I've seen a lot of situations like that. They just plain don't know. They're not being dishonest. They really, really don't know. There have been some instances where sellers have lied. And again, it's really small instance. And the time I've been doing real estate, I've only come across, I think, like 2. there's really, unfortunately, not a lot you can do about it. If you do discover or you feel like your seller is lying, you can try to do something about it. But unless you have proof, it's going to be really hard. I've heard instances of sellers getting caught because they said that there were no leaks in the roof. The buyer moved into the house. 2 months later, there's a big storm. The roof is leaking. And they just happened to call, when they're making their rounds, getting estimates, they just happened to call the roofer that gave them the original estimate to the seller and said, your roof is leaking. You need to fix this. You know, you'll hear about things like that occasionally. But 99% of the time, the sellers either just plain don't know and they're being honest about it, or they're telling you to the best of their knowledge, which is the phrasing that's on the disclosure. It's to the best of their knowledge, and you just have to work with that. And that's also why you have a home inspection. Your home inspection is either going to back up or refute what the seller disclosure says. Okay, so don't take that seller disclosure and then not have a home inspected. It's silly to not spend that money to do it. I hope I answered some questions about this. That is one of the forms that sellers have the hardest time filling out because they're just really not sure how to answer it. And the best thing to do is just be honest and fill every line out. If there's a question, answer it to the best of your knowledge. And if it doesn't pertain to you, write an A or something like that. And just fill every line out. That way there's no questions from the buyer. And you're not going back and forth with questions about this. And your buyer is also going to initial off and sign off on it, stating that they understand that you said in your seller disclosure that your pool pump doesn't work. And then that way, you know, they can't come back and try to get you to fix it. So I hope this helps answer some questions. If you have any questions about this, please let me know. You can DM me or you can put it in the comments. And if you have any questions on real estate in general, please put them in the comments or DM me. I love hearing from you. It is going to be nice today. I think we're back up in the 90s, beautiful beach weather. It's summer, so we're having our afternoon storms, and then it's nice at night. So if you have the opportunity to get outside, I encourage you to do so. Wear your sunscreen, drink lots of water, and I'll talk to you later. Bye, everybody.